you are essentially responsible for yourself. Even though at university you have all the freedom, you also are accountable. Should anything happen, you would be the one that suffers any consequences. If you are there to study, then the goal is for you to complete your studies with less carnage at the end.
Okay.
So the right friends are important.
Okay.
Communication with lecturers is important.
Okay.
Attending the career expos that we mentioned earlier, and basically investing the correct time. So to be a good lawyer, you would have to be well-rounded, not just maybe having textbook knowledge, but also
Greetings and welcome at EduKnowledge Exchange Podcast. We bring you in studio today a Bachelor of Laws graduate, a product of University of the Western Cape, Miss Lihle. Welcome at EduKnowledge Exchange Podcast and greetings.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm well, how are you?
I'm so fine. As a Bachelor of Laws graduate who transitioned from academic space to profession environment, is there anything, a key element or an aspect which got to be a surprise in your field that you were not aware of?
Okay, yes, definitely. One of the things I think I had to adjust to was the difference in the university sphere, where you had all this time to yourself.
Yes.
You didn't need to account to anyone. You managed your time basically. And then that changed to now having to account to somebody in the workspace. Once you're a professional, whether you are reporting to an employer, to your principal, to the community, it was quite a change. And also the difference in, applying what you learn in the professional field. Slightly different. It's university. You go through a billion textbooks. It's a lot of information intake. But when it comes to practice, it's slightly different as well. You're not using all of that information, but you have to be versatile, flexi, be able to think on top of your head, use all of that information, but it's not going to be in the ABC format.
That's so nice.
Yes.
You mentioned the difference of workload from a student life and academic life. For a comparison, how do you compare the workload of a student and the one of profession, despite different practical that you perform within the professional field and as a student life? How is the comparison of that experience to yourself?
Well, look, it's very different spheres altogether.
Yes.
If you're looking at student life, your main focus, I would assume, is you getting through varsity, making time for your studies, touch basing with family from time to time, and also depending on what extracurricular activities you involve yourself with. But the main thing is basically the time that you put into your school work. And then when it comes to being a professional now, starting to work, it changes slightly. There's more responsibilities. So I would say that, when it comes to workloads, it's similar, both demanding, but in different ways. I wouldn't say that it's isolated.
That's so great. So with the transition from an academic space to working environment, we hear that within the law field, it's somehow difficult or challenging to find yourself within the employment sector. And then for yourself, how or which critical steps, essential steps, which you applied for yourself to find yourself within the field of employment in law?
Okay, yes, it is true. We unfortunately do have a high unemployment rate. But what I would maybe advise on is, research is key.
Okay.
Knowing what you want to go into. If you are deciding to pursue a career in the legal field, making sure you understand what it is that you want to do, because it's not as simple as saying, okay, I want to be a lawyer. There's different fields of law. There's different ways of attaining legal qualifications, and then there's different opportunities as well.
Okay.
So I believe that when you do the correct research, then you better align yourself, better equip yourself to sort of go into that particular field, be happy with it as well, flourish in it as well, and possibly secure opportunities within that field. I think some of the challenges that we sometimes face is that you go into your studies not having a game plan, not having set any goals, and you take whatever comes first. So maybe if you wanted to attain an LLB and you don't get that, then you opt for BCom law, not knowing that you're not able to use that to become an attorney. Yes. So it takes, it wastes a bit of your time as well if you don't do sufficient research.
Thank you very much that you have clarified that within law field, there is actually different categories that is divided within the law, that there are different sectors of law. But I still believe that there remain a gap of understanding between individuals who are willing to pursue law degree as to what is law. Because growing up, we're exposed to being told that, what do you want to become? And you say you want to become a lawyer. But many people, for myself as well, do not fully understand the concept of law itself, particularly in relation to Bachelor of Laws. We mix Bachelor of Laws perhaps with labor law and BCom law. But to further clarify on that, you mentioned that, of course, an individual has to do proper research and be in a position to be informed about the law which they want to specialize in. But for a clear clarification, how can you clear that to our audience as to, for a law field, these are the categories that you ought to deal with. So how can you clarify to our audience that different law field requires you to do this and this and this, and for proper research, this is where you ought to find yourself for a proper information?
Okay. Yeah, I like what you said now about, growing up. You get to a point where, you are questioned on what is it that you want to do. And traditionally, being a teacher, being a lawyer, being a doctor has always been the hype. But more importantly right now, and for, let's say, those wishing to pursue a career in the legal field, it's important, like you said, to know what is it that you're actually going into. So I'll try to clarify it as simple as I can. But basically, you get the overall attorney, or let's say you want to be a lawyer. Now, everyone's perception will be, you're a lawyer, you're going to court, you're going to defend someone that's done something wrong. And that's well and good. So if you want to be that person, there's the LLB degree, which is a master key for a lot of opportunities when it comes to the legal field. But most importantly, if you want to be an attorney or if you want to be an advocate, so you would pursue your LLB, which is your undergrad Bachelor of Laws. So that's the standard one. That's the standard one. And then you get your BCom law. You also, BCom law, you also get your BA. And those are basically where legal studies are integrated with other subjects, such as humanities, arts, business, or commerce, let's say. And then you also get your master's in law, which is also for those who want to go into advanced legal research. You get your doctorates as well. So if you want to, you're looking at the spectrum of our legal field right now, and maybe you're not so happy about what's happening in the constitutional law era, and you feel, and you want to contribute to that. You can work towards a doctorate in specializing in that particular field. You also get paralegal studies, as well as diplomas in law. So those are the shorter courses. LLB being your standard 4 years, and BCom Law, BA would be about 3 years or so. But I'd say the major difference is that with your LLB, like I said, you can go into being an attorney, you can go into being an advocate,
Yes.
as well as a judge. But with the others, you wouldn't be able to. With your BCom Law, BA, yes, you would still need to supplement that if you want to go into practice.
Okay.
I understand.
That's so great. So basically, the one way you get to be informed about legal space, you have to be within the Bachelor of Laws, and even other categories or law field, they do offer that knowledge of constitutional mandatories that are transpiring within the law field. That's so great. For yourself, who has pursued Bachelor of Laws, and I believe that you were so well informed or exposed to more knowledge about law, for your personal growth, or how do you put some of the things into practical from the knowledge that you have gained within the law field? How?
So depending on what you go into,
Okay.
that's where the application would then
Get
be
to
relevant, yes.
Okay.
So if, for example, you majored in labor law,
Okay.
if you are in the professional field now,
Yes.
you're working for a labor firm, you are going to be applying what you've learned,
Yes.
labor law related.
Okay.
The same goes for family law and so
Okay.
on. There is
So-
corporate spaces where
Yes.
you can also apply that knowledge. You know, the great thing about law is that it's so flexible.
Okay.
It's not just maybe streamlined to be practice or you being in court only.
Yes.
You can fit into the commerce world, you can fit into the corporate world, but it just depends, like I say, on what it is that you would want or what it is that you enjoy doing.
Yes. It's so nice that you get to be informed about the knowledge which will expose you to different fields. And I best believe that many institutions are preparing their students within the law field to be in that position even after school. But for someone who is currently pursuing Bachelor of Laws degree in their first years, for them to be in the level which you have been, because I believe that it's not easy, you know, to discipline yourself for a full 4-year degree and additional 2-year of articles. But for yourself to grant an advice, having experience within the profession field of law, what advice can you grant to a first-year student or those who are willing to pursue Bachelor of Laws to expose themselves with reading? How can you advise them to utilize study materials and resources to their best investment, that they be in the same position which you have reached? Because I believe that it's not an easy thing to reach on that position. How can you advise those individuals?
Okay. So, you know, the requirements for going into the field is not that you need to speak well, write well, read well only.
Yes.
There's quite a number of other factors that you'd have to consider. So I would say, you know, if you are pursuing or interested in pursuing a career in the legal field,
Okay.
that you conduct the necessary research, know what it is that you are getting into. A lot of companies assist with sponsoring initiatives, career expos, just to expose high school students, for example, to the possibilities after high school. And even during your studies at university, there's a number of expos, platforms, establishments in place that help you sort of get that necessary knowledge to know, okay, this is what I'm studying and this is what it entails. I would advise anyone that hasn't started yet to know fully that it is a lot of hard work.
Okay.
It is a lot of time that you put into legal research, reading, understanding the content. So to be a good lawyer, you would have to be well-rounded, not just maybe having textbook knowledge, but also dabbling in different areas as well outside of the
where
legal.
you have to expose your
That's
knowledge.
correct, yes.
Okay.
So just being flexible, well-rounded, being inquisitive, ask a lot of questions. When you are in university, align with different platforms made available to you, so that you're able to also study and do well, and also connect with different platforms that the faculty puts in place, so that you are well equipped to also be a great legal eagle.
That's
when you graduate, yes.
Ms. Lihle, for those who are currently pursuing Bachelor of Laws, how can you advise them to apply maximum discipline to remain within the legal field that they arrive at a stage where you arrived, to pursue legal field without any mistakes that they will injure in their journey?
Okay, that's a great question. So how I would see it is that, you are essentially responsible for yourself. Even though at university you have all the freedom, you also are accountable. Should anything happen, you would be the one that suffers any consequences. So what's always best, or what I've tried to do or did while I was studying, is ensuring that I know what the main thing is. If you are there to study, then the goal is for you to complete your studies with less carnage at the end. And part of the ways of, disciplining yourself, being responsible, will always be aligning with anything and everyone that has the same or similar goals as you. So the right friends are important. Communication with lecturers is important. Attending the career expos that we mentioned earlier, and basically investing the correct time. Allocating the correct time for things that you need to do, avoiding things that waste your time. Being part of good clubs within the school phase, where you meet other like-minded individuals that are serious about their goals as well. I know with the church that I'm in, Breakthrough Ministries International, we've got a beautiful student ministry with Pastor Jason Ross, a group of vibrant students that also study. They not only encourage each other spiritually, but they're there for each other as a family, emotionally, psychologically, and in other different ways. So, aligning with yourself, with ministries, initiatives that will help you grow and keep you out of trouble. So that would be my advice for a student.
So great. I do believe that Bachelor of Laws, not specifically, but even other fields, do equip their students to the best investment, that they become a product that ought to compete with, that you get to question, where did they gain this knowledge? For yourself, having that experience within the professional field, for personal development of yourself, how has Bachelor of Laws enhanced your personal growth in terms of something that you have benefited, that you are able to apply outside legal field?
Okay, that's a great question. Well, look, I mentioned a little earlier about being well-rounded. So part of the benefits of studying law is that you're not only given textbook knowledge, you also are held to a certain standard. There's codes of ethics, codes of conduct that we align to. So things like that help you as a person to build you morally, ethically. Your sense of discipline and responsibility and accountability also enhances. So you're not just learning how to quote the law, you're not just learning how to defame criminals, but you are also learning how to be a fit and proper person. You're learning how to be accountable, doing things in the right manner. So most of the things I've also learned would be what I just mentioned now. I am a more responsible, or I'd like to think I'm a more responsible person. I have my convictions when it comes to certain things that I do.
Okay.
The difference between right and wrong.
Yes.
And you don't want to be that person that studied law and end up behind bars.
Okay.
So there's quite a lot that you learn from your studies. That you use in the open market, in the professional environment, in the community as well.
Okay, that's so nice. I get to be so happy as to how the law field equip you to an extent where you get to be exposed to different things that are transpiring within society or any space where an individual is then exposed to. And I best believe that in a country like South Africa, where injustice is there, I believe that those who surround you or those whom you surround yourself with get best advices free of charge, I believe. That this is how you get to align yourself. But outside, now that you are an experienced individual within Bachelor of Law field, do you then get to make conversations that are meant to be within the law field outside for free of charge? I know that you have gone to school to charge people, but do you then get to, provide that information to individuals who may be in need purposefully? Do you do that?
Okay, so you do get your pro bono services that would normally assist the public when it comes to free advice, free assistance, not a problem. But just to answer what you were saying now, yes, I believe with this field, it's really a laid back, very cool a type of field where everything that you learn, you can apply in reality, in real time. So, any conversation that you have with anyone can lead up to that person having advice. Sometimes you might not think, okay, I need to bill this person, but it might be a normal conversation that you are having. Yes. So from my family, from my friends, my colleagues, I could be having a conversation, and out of it is some form of legal advice. But I'm not necessarily billing them about it. Yeah.
Oh, within law field, what are the means or the consequences, disadvantages and advantages of you pursuing law as an individual or general?
I wouldn't say there's disadvantages.
Okay.
It's all advantages. But I would maybe say there's, some myths around pursuing a career in the legal field. Some pros, some cons to it. Okay. Starting with the cons. Okay. So, it is a lot of time that you need to put into the work. Yes. It's a lot of reading. It's a lot of late nights. If you're an introvert, you are going to be pulled out of your shell. You have to be able to speak well. You have to be able to be bold, especially if you want to go into practice. It's a survival of the fittest. So there is a lot of that you need to put into it. But the pros definitely would include, you are a person that is in a position to assist others in whatever area that you go into. So besides the paycheck, there's also the gratification that you get from just being a helpful person in your society, in your family.
That's so nice. Thank you very much, Ms. Lihle, for your time. It's an honor and gratitude that you are availed to engage, share, and as we learn from your experience and wish you all the best in your life, that we hope to host you again when you are Dr. Lihle. Our audience, viewers, and listeners, we appreciate your time for having tuned at EduKnowledge Exchange podcast.